Stop using dirty words on LinkedIn. Chances are you've either come across these common phrases that I'm about to share with you or you're using them yourself. And the best way to get better results on LinkedIn is to stop using these words and phrases entirely. Now, before I go into what those words, phrases, and what I coined the dirty words of LinkedIn are, I want to just start by saying that inherently these phrases aren't necessarily bad to say, but the reason that makes them bad is they become such a common occurrence on LinkedIn that they're an indicator that somebody's going to pitch you on something or that they're using bots or automation. So, keeping that in mind when you're thinking about a LinkedIn strategy will really help you figure out what's going to work because you avoid what is the competition in everybody else's inbox. A good way to do this is going through your own inbox and seeing what messages look like. How can you make your message stand out? And I'm going to share some tips and tactics that will allow you to do just that. Now, what are the dirty words of LinkedIn? So, I'm looking to connect with you. I saw we have some mutual connections. I saw we shared some connections. I would love to connect with you. I wanted to connect with you here. I think we could both benefit from learning more about each other's companies. Those are all words and phrases that are coined the dirty words of LinkedIn because they're coming across so often when we receive connection requests that it makes it so we raise a red flag. So the first thing to do if you want to implement a LinkedIn strategy and actually get results is to avoid these common phrases entirely. Another thing is starting off with a salutation like hi or hey and name. So you can see hi Chris, hey Chris. That's what every single message or connection request is going to show up in my inbox. So the number one thing that I implement is avoiding those types of salutations and phrases entirely. When it comes to sending a connection request, I would recommend not sending a message at all within that connection request. What's going to come down to whether somebody accepts it or not is going to be your profile picture and then your headline in that case. So, an example of a really bad headline is something that's built for SEO but not for direct outreach. And that's something like I help agency owners and freelancers struggling with LinkedIn. The I help or this is what I do and the value proposition type headline is all right if you don't plan on using your LinkedIn for anything, but it's really, really ineffective and harmful to your connection acceptance rate and overall strategy if you are doing direct outreach on LinkedIn. So the type of headline that you should use is something more similar to mine, where it just goes into your title, it goes into some things of interest of you, maybe a personality type, some other hobbies or things that you're into, and have some personality to it that avoids what the norm is going to be. Pattern interruption is something that's a big thing in sales, but it's probably going to be the number one help to your LinkedIn strategy. So when you go to send a connection request, you're going to want to not include a message, not include those dirty words or phrases. The same is going to come when you send your first initial message to somebody. The inbox is the same way. It's showing up with hi, Chris, hey, Chris, and all those phrases that are going to make it so you don't even open the message in the first place. So what is the way around that? The way around that is going to be to message in a different strategy. So using a phrase like, I know this is random, but you seemed like the best person to reach out to for this might seem ineffective, but the fact that it starts off with, I know this is random is going to make it so people actually click in to that message. Now there's other phrases that you can start off with, but that is something that you can test yourself. And I promise your connection, not your connection acceptance rate, your message reply rate will drastically go up. Now, the second part of a message, if you get them to open it, is going to want to keep them reading. So I like to use something like, I'm looking to speak with X title about Y and Z. Being really quick and to the point about why you're reaching out to them is going to be the most effective way to get responses and actually get buy-in to somebody messaging. Now, going back to connection requests, there is a small exception to the rule when it comes to how you can send connection requests. And the exception to that rule of not sending a message is if you can hyper personalize something. So the example that I have here is somebody reaching out specifically about one of my YouTube videos. And that every time is going to be better than sending no message, but it's really, really time consuming to be able to do this. So if you meet somebody at a conference, if you meet somebody in some way in person, or if you become acquainted with them through an online event or something that they'll remember, that's going to be a good thing to send in a connection request message and almost guarantee that they're going to accept it. So if you're on a webinar and you see somebody else's name on it, or you interact with them in the comments section, that would be a really good way to send a connection request. Although that's going to be a very difficult thing to scale and only exists if you have kind of that prior connection with somebody. Now, going back to what happens once you make a connection request and get that accepted, the message that you send to them is going to be the determinant of success. So you can check out some of the other videos that I have on YouTube about what those messages are. This is more of a public service announcement to avoid those dirty words or phrases of LinkedIn and realize that your overall strategy will become a lot more effective when you start making a strategy that doesn't look like what everybody else is doing on the platform. And that's the number one reason to avoid using bots or automation, is mainly because it puts you into this cadence of what everybody else is doing and the advice from the other people using bots or automation, which probably aren't generating them the best results in general anyways. So the final thing that I'll leave you with is the best way to connect with somebody is going to be not sending a connection request message at all, but doing targeting based on people that have posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. If you have a really good headline and a really good profile picture that's just a straight on headshot, nothing crazy, your connection acceptance rate will be at least 30 to 40%, if not a lot higher than that. Hopefully this video helped you out. You can check out uptowncreation.com if you want to look and learn more about LinkedIn strategies.